Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this man on. His name is Erik Prince. He's the founder of Blackwater. We've had him on before. He's a friend of ours. Erik, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm great, Joe. How are you?
I'm living the dream. It's good to have you back. You are the penultimate security expert I always go to in a situation that we don't really want to talk to you about, which in this case is an assassination attempt on the former president of the United States. Just as in an overview, and I want to get into the details of how you would have done security for him that day, but just as an overview, when you heard about this happening, what did you think?
I was stunned when I first saw the videotape. The crack of the bullet compared to the bang of the muzzle blast was so close together. I figured if there was sniper fire, my God, it was going to at least be a ways out, but it wasn't. It was turned out to be only 140 yards away. This is grotesque malpractice. It never should have happened like that. The fact that a guy armed with a rifle could be that close in effectively a position of cover to take multiple aim shots at the president of the United States is absolutely unacceptable. It's unimaginable. As I've said before, it's either malice or grotesque malpractice. And I'm hoping it's the latter and not malice.
It's Erik Prince. So, Erica, the initial reports that we got were that was outside of the perimeter. Now, I've got an AR-15, and 140 yards is not far. I'm not a marksman. I could hit a target from 140. That's nothing for a rifle like that. Is it possible that was outside of the perimeter, 140 yards?
It was considered outside their perimeter, which is supreme ignorance and naivete, because anybody that was standing at the podium where Trump was speaking from would automatically look to those industrial buildings and say, that's the spot, that's the natural spot a sniper is going to set up and lay an ambush. I mean, you refer to it as the sniper hotel, the obvious place where they're gonna go. And I don't care what they think their perimeter is. Anyone with a sniper rifle gets to decide what that perimeter should be.
Yes.
And the kind of area, the terrain that they can control with that assassin's rifle. And reality is it should be more like 1,000 meters out or longer, because there are very capable riflemen in the world today that can take those kind of shots. 140 yards is something that a first-year, 12-year-old deer hunter can make.
Yeah. It's Erik Prince, founder of Blackwater. Go to his website, unplugged.com. Find out about the unplugged phone. I have one, by the way. Go there and check that out. As we're looking at the videotape coming in fast and furiously on Saturday, we see the Secret Service sniper take the guy out very, very quickly. But what jumped out at me, and I'm not the expert, I want your expertise on this if you don't mind, Erik. As we're watching him, he doesn't turn the gun much. It's almost as if he was looking in that direction already. Now, we've heard reports that law enforcement was made aware 5 minutes earlier, some say 30 minutes earlier, that there was a guy walking around who jumped up on the roof. It looks to me like the Secret Service guy who kills the shooter, it was already looking at him. Did I get it wrong?
Yeah, they clearly had prior knowledge. There was warnings. I interviewed to understand local law enforcement took a picture of the guy, the assassin, with a rangefinder almost a half an hour earlier, and then they lost track of him. But the fact that they were looking in that direction is unbelievable. That they didn't say, hey, get Trump to a position of cover until we resolve the situation. Put the rally on hold, at least, until we know the protectee is safe. But even then, when the shots first fired, you can see in the video, the guy on the rooftop right behind Trump on the supposedly dangerously sloped roof actually come off the rifle instead of doing his business, which is to shoot the assassin.
Yes.
There's just a series of breakdowns. It clearly, whatever the advance team was, did not actually consider where the sniper fire could come from. They completely missed it. And even once there was gunfire, the protective team of the so-called full-time Secret Service agents, some of them did the right thing, but a lot of them didn't. They clearly, some of the people did not have the kind of training to deal with those situations under a highly stressful, probably the most stressful day of their professional lives. And that's why you train so hard to simulate the kind of physical and mental stress on them so that those kind of reactions become autonomic. If A, then B, if B, then C.
Yes.
You react to your training with muscle memory, not trying to think, not trying to figure it all out as your body is literally being bathed in adrenaline. That's why the Navy built Top Gun 50 years ago to give Navy pilots the simulation of the first 10 missions in combat. You need to do the same thing with people that are doing protective operations, offensive combat operations, or whatever. And clearly the Secret Service has missed the boat on that kind of training, or they've changed their standards so much because of whatever political correct imperatives they have.
Yeah.
That they're truly not the organization they need to be anymore. We are so close to having lost Donald Trump. You think about how different the micro degree difference in barrel deflection of the sniper to change 2 inches to the right over 140 yards.
Stunning.
World War I started because Francis Ferdinand was assassinated, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. That's why World War I started,
yes.
Which killed millions of people in Europe and led to World War II, tens of millions of people, rewrote the maps. What would America be doing right now if Donald Trump were assassinated while supposedly under the protection of the federal government on Saturday? I shudder to think of what that would have looked like.
Well, I mean, obviously, it would have been civil war at the very least. It's Erik Prince, founder of Blackwater. Go to unplugged.com. Find out about a safe and secure phone that you're going to want to look into. I'm glad you went to the Secret Service agents, and I want to throw out what we know from watching the video and listening to it. Immediately, when Trump goes down, which is the right thing to do to get out of the line of fire, after being nicked on his ear, and thank God he turned his head at the last second, as you mentioned, as he goes down, you hear a female Secret Service agent say, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" What? What do you mean? You don't know what you're doing right now? And then it's hard not to notice. I'm 6'1". I stood next to Donald Trump. He's at least 6'2", if not 6'2.5". He's a big man. You've got several women that are on the security detail that one of them was a foot shorter than him. I mean, Eric, do we have the right personnel? There's another woman that we have on video could not holster her gun. So what are we looking at here? You alluded to it earlier. Is this DEI stuff? Is this let's give somebody a job so we can say we have a bunch of women protecting the former president? I don't understand what we're looking at when you had people clearly unprepared, didn't know what to do next, and couldn't holster their gun.
As I said in the post I made on X, I don't care who people sleep with or what bathroom they use or what gender they identify with. I just want the best, most capable protective agents protecting the President of the United States and our other senior elected officials, because if people start getting assassinated in office, the whole society can break down very, very quickly.
Yes.
Mission execution, excellence, merit is all that matters. It is all that can matter. And we need leadership decision-making that supports only that. That's it.
Yeah. It's Erik Prince, founder of Blackwater. I talked to Donald Trump Jr. Sunday, so just a few hours after he found out what happened to his dad. And I asked him directly, do you think it's time to look at private security? So you're a private security expert. Now, he said, we're not sure. We're weighing all of our options. We're doing whatever. I see that the A-team was guarding Trump last night at the RNC, as they should be. It was a bunch of gigantic men, which it should have been. Having said that, if you were to be hired to protect somebody of such stature, what do you do a day before the rally, 2 days before the rally? What setup, what advanced team do you send in? How big should the perimeter be? Fill us in on what should have been done that day.
The most important part of executive protection really is the advance work. It's how do you pre-plan what your entrances are going to be, where your covered positions, what exposure does your protectee have, and then what happens if something bad happens. Again, and planning that perimeter out means you need to plan for the effective range of a weapon system that is likely to be employed. If you can screen everyone 1,000%, fine. You probably don't need to worry about the 500-yard shot inside of, if it's inside of a football stadium, as badly. But an outdoor rally with multiple industrial buildings with dead space that a shooter can approach in secret, not observed from counter snipers, that's a huge problem. They need, and I don't think I'm worried that they're not evaluating even all the asymmetric threats. The amount of lethality that's been developed on the Ukraine-Russia border front, especially with drones, especially with small arm drones, generates an entirely new range of severe problems for the executive protection industry, not just for our military, for tanks, for anti-air systems, but even in the executive protection world. It is a very dangerous time, and you need people. I think it's important. Your advanced team needs to think like predators. They cannot think like law enforcement. They shouldn't even think as protected people. They should think as, how would an attacker, if I'm an attacker, if I'm a predator, how am I to get this guy? and they find the 10 ways they're going to do it, and you plug all 10 of those courses of action, and you just keep plugging those holes as you identify more and more devious ways to conduct an attack. And that's how effective executive protection works.
It's Erik Prince, the founder of Blackwater. Go to unplug.com. Kim Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service, was interviewed, and she said, well, that roof caused an issue for us because it had a slope. It was a sloped roof. Now, Erik, you and I have both seen overheads. We've seen Google Earth. We've seen Bing, recreations. We know that this guy had a straight shot to the microphone at 140 yards, and he was seen by several people around. It wasn't so sloped that you would slide off of it. He was laying on top of the roof. Does her excuse make any sense to you?
That is one of the dumbest excuses I've ever heard. It shows just how pathetic the leadership of the Secret Service's response to this has been. Again, if we were a private organization and we were hired to cover that entire event on Saturday and that result happened, I would fully expect to be fired, to be sued for malpractice because people died. Okay. The fireman, I think from Pennsylvania, died while covering his daughter. It is absolutely unacceptable. And they failed at so many levels, from identifying the likely sniper positions to even clearing the Secret Service counter snipers from engaging the threat, or putting Trump in a position of cover while they didn't know the level of danger. And then even once the shots had fired, getting him off the X. It is a cacophony of failure, and it's wrong. And of course, the Washington way now is no accountability for anyone. You can screw up in Afghanistan. You can screw up a $230 million pier off Gaza, which gets washed away on a weekly basis. You can lose one of the major waterways to the Houthis. And you can almost have the former president and current frontrunner for president of the United States to failure. And that's why I said in the article, we have a lot of federal agencies that are bloated, overfunded, unresponsive, and unelected, unaccountable. And until we return to a culture of accountability and merit and excellence, we're going to continue to be embarrassed as America. And our whole system that we take for granted is on a slippery slope, an actual steep slope that we can slide off, not that stupid roof in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. It's Erik Prince, founder of Blackwater. I'm going to hit on a couple of things that you said. Mayorkas, the impeached DHS secretary, came out and said he has 100% confidence in the director Cheadle, 100% confidence in the Secret Service. After the former president of the United States was almost killed on live television, Erik, he said that, and yet the Senate still won't take up the trial and get rid of this guy. That's the first thing. Second thing, you've got Joe Biden out there talking about lowering the temperature, and he just a few days earlier said we should put him in the bullseye. Now, I don't know if this 20-year-old idiot saw Biden say that, but the hate speech and the vitriol, and he's some sort of a threat to democracy in and of itself, calling him Hitler, that has to add to all of that. Knowing that that's the temperature, and again, going back to your expertise, does that change the number of people you have at the event? Do you have drones overhead to see if anybody's laying on a roof? I mean, knowing what the temperature is surrounding Trump and surrounding Biden, isn't it even a higher priority to have even more people, more eyes, more equipment?
It's not just a matter of having more people, it's having the right people.
Yeah.
Even the right Secret Service advance agent that could have been managing effectively local law enforcement, making sure they were doing their jobs, making sure whatever that local SWAT team wasn't hanging out inside the building, but actually up on the roof doing their job for the hour and a half or whatever that Trump was exposed. That's what proper management is. It's not just the Washington way of more money and more people.
Right.
You have to have the right people that you can empower, and you trust your people, professionals, to make the right decision at the potential bleeding edge of danger.
I'm an untrained eye, Erik, but when I saw that roof, I thought to myself, why isn't Secret Service literally on that roof? It's in range. It's a direct shot to the podium. That would be a safe place, but Secret Service, I would think. And then there's a water tower that's even higher than the roof right next to it. Wouldn't you have manned that at least? Had eyes on that?
Yeah, that's an easy answer. Of course, right? The first rule in security, the first rule in any kind of military operation is own the high ground. Well, there, a water tower is the easiest spot to be. And again, a small tethered drone that you can put up at 1,000 feet to give you a God's eye view of the place. Of course, these are not high dollar items. But again, Jill Biden, the first lady, was at an event that afternoon in Pittsburgh for some Italian American thing. She inevitably drew resources away, and supposedly, according to Secret Service pecking order, she is farther up the pecking order than the Republican frontrunner.
Wow.
And again, Joe Biden has the will to power. It's so bad that the Marine Band traditionally plays "Hail to the Chief" when the President of the United States walks into an event.
Right.
Jill Biden made the Marine Band create an entirely new set of music for the First Lady to walk on at any event that she's at.
That is so stupid.
That's why Joe Biden is running again. That woman has the will to power.
No,
she is
I agree
a menace.
One last thing with Erik Prince. Go to unplug.com. And again, I've got one of these phones that's amazing. Make your phone, your communication secure. Go to unplug.com. Find out more about it. One last question. And it's got to be, when we're watching all of this unfold and we're seeing it all go on, in retrospect, should everybody be fired? I mean, you're telling me you got 100% confidence in people that failed miserably on international television live. I mean, shouldn't we just clean house? If somebody pressed the button, if Trump wins again, he said, Eric, come in and fix the Secret Service. Would you just fire everybody top to bottom?
Look, there is clearly some competent agents. There are many competent agents still in the Secret Service. I feel bad for them that their professional reputation is besmirched by some incompetent idiots that have infected their ranks, and certainly the infected idiot leadership over top of them. I feel bad because they've earned the right to be there, and some people clearly have not earned the right to be there. There is definitely a leadership change that's required. There is a retraining and making sure everyone qualifies to a certain standard with no exceptions. Again, no exceptions for gender or height or sexual preference or any of that, because we must have a merit-based, fact-based, mission-focused execution strategy, and that is all that matters. That's what actually made America, that's what made us successful as a society and a country. And the more we deviate from that, the more we're going to be embarrassed, and the more we're going to trip over our own selves.
I've got to go. We're frankly out of time. Give me 10 seconds on this if you don't mind. Do those snipers, the guy who ended up taking out the shooter, does he have the right to shoot first or not?
I don't think so. I think it's their policy now
Really?
that they have a shoot second policy, which is kind of mind-blowing. To imagine that they can observe. Now, again, at 140 yards, they're looking through a 5x25 scope, powered scope, which means you can basically tell at that range whether the shooter has shaved that day or not.
Wow.
That's the level of detail. So they can identify, yes, the shooter has a rifle. He is pointing at the candidate, the protectee. What should I do? Yeah, probably time to take a shot.
If that's true that they have to wait for a shot before they can take a shot, that's got to change yesterday. Eric, thanks a million. Let's do this again very soon. Your expertise is dynamite. Appreciate your friendship.
You bet.
All right, brother. We're back after this. Stay right here.